a game last year that wasn't a great one for Brock Purdy, but again, he didn't have Trent Williams and he didn't have Deebo Samuel. Mike Sando, for years now, and I just want to know what you make of this. Right. Mike Sando, for years now, has put out a quarterback ranking list, okay? And it's based on executive opinions. Okay, so he talks to executives every year, and then he splits his quarterbacks up. He ranks them all and then breaks them into tiers. So tier 1, for example, is Mahomes. Who else is on there? Burrow might be on there, and then maybe one other guy. The point is he's got like 4 tiers, 1, 2, and 3.
All right.
Okay, and then 4, but 4's. And what he said is that between try to follow this. I'll try to explain it simply. Between the years 2014 and 2022, so 8 or 9 years, up till about 2 years ago, there was only one quarterback in the NFL who was a tier 3 quarterback.
Gotcha.
According to the executives,
all right,
that made more than 15% of the team's salary cap. For example, in 2018, Kirk Cousins was a Viking, and he was put into this 3rd tier category of quarterbacks by the executives.
But his money wasn't to 3rd tier.
Exactly.
All right.
His money wasn't 3rd tier. So over an 8-year period, the only 3rd tier player who got paid was Cousins.
Gotcha.
Okay? The other guys who got paid were Roethlisberger, who's considered a tier 1, Wilson, Andrew Luck, Drew Brees, Stafford.
Ballers.
Garoppolo was considered tier 2 back in 2018. All right, here's what I'm getting at. In the last 2 years, according to Mike Sando, more tier 2 and 3 quarterbacks are getting paid, meaning that lesser quarterbacks are now taking up more of your salary cap, and that is a recipe for disaster.
No doubt.
Okay.
And I think the NFL, real quick, should do something and not count the quarterback's money. I know it's being discussed it should be something different, if you get my drift.
I don't want that.
Why?
Because I want teams to pay the price if they make a mistake overpaying a quarterback.
Okay. Wow. Well, a lot of teams would be on the side of the road.
Well, too bad.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm looking right now. So now if you look at the quarterbacks who have contracts that are worth 15% or more of the cap, listen to the names on here.
Dak Prescott's one.
Daniel Jones.
Jesus.
He represents 18% of the entire New York Giants.
That's their fault, though. I know you're not.
Exactly.
That's the Giants'
fault. So I don't want to bail them out.
Okay, gotcha. Wow, I hear you. Go ahead.
How about this one? One of Spadoni's favorites, Derek Carr. Derek Carr represents almost 17% of the entire salary cap. Yes.
Man.
And there's 2 more tier 3 guys who got paid, Trevor Lawrence and Tua.
Wow, man.
They were ranked in his – Lawrence was essentially ranked 15th, and Tua was 16th out of 32 quarterbacks. Now, here's my question. Where do you come down on how much to pay a certain quarterback and whether you're going to sign this kind of quarterback to a long-term deal? So Brock Purdy, all right? Brock Purdy, does he get what the market views him as, or does he get the going rate? Because here's the way I look at it. I think when you say, well, what's going to be the going rate for Brock Purdy?
60, 55.
I think the going rate for Brock Purdy is going to be 60.
Yeah,
55 or 60.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the point of this, because Lawrence got it. Tua got it. Daniel Jones got a big deal. Carr got a big deal. So
Jordan Love he's a
exactly.
Well, he was.
Jordan Love got a big deal. So the question I have is, teams are paying, and I'm not saying Purdy is this guy, but do you pay a Trevor Lawrence that kind of money? If you don't, what do you do then? What do you do then?
You have to start over, and that's what I think a lot of these organizations are afraid of doing. And two, quarterbacks don't grow on trees, and it's quarterback inflation. Basically, you got to pay dudes when you hope that they turn into, like Jordan Love right now looks great, right? So they paid them for what they think they're going to get down the road in the future, right? But Brock Purdy, you got to hate the player, hate the game. You can't hate the player. He's about to get broken off. And Steiny, as crazy as this sounds, do I think Brock Purdy's the best quarterback in the NFL? No. But is he the best fit for this team right now after going to a Super Bowl, after taking them to an NFC championship game, after, I have no problem with that. But you're right, the Daniel Joneses, you got to pay for that. The Derek Carrs, the misses, you have to pay for. But why I believe teams are overzealous to do it is they're so gung-ho on thinking and identifying we got our next guy, and a lot of them are landmines. They're blowing up on them.
Exactly. And I'm not saying Brock Purdy is that, but this is kind of what I mean about if you're going to pay a guy the going rate, you better really know that he's the guy.
Do you think Dallas believes Dak is the guy? He's just quick.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I care about postseason. He's 2-5. We're in year 8. He hadn't even taken you to a championship game. That's the dude that gets 230, 240? Like, explain that to me on any whiteboard.
Okay.
Before I'm to pass it to you, I can give you the answer. They have no other option. I'd rather lose and try to go find my new bride than pay something that I know deep in my core is not going to get me to the promised land.
Well, what did the Giants do with Daniel Jones? And like
their intel was bad.
But my point, Dak Prescott. Here's my feeling on Dak Prescott. I think he's pretty good
in the regular season, and you would be right.
So you wouldn't pay him because you don't allow for the fact that he could be good in the postseason in the future.
I've seen enough that he will not. Okay, it will never happen on his watch. I believe that to my core.
So what would you have done? Just let him play out this year?
Yes.
Okay, but when we talk about like a guy like Brock Purdy, and
I've seen more than he's got 4 playoff wins.
I get that. But it's also a team game. But what I'm getting at is with Brock Purdy, let's say, if you give him $60 million, it's going to impact the rest of your roster. All I'm saying is you got to be sure that Brock Purdy isn't Dak Prescott.
Well, I'm asking you, after a Super Bowl visit and almost winning it, taking the team on the fly in his first run, to the NFC Championship game, what else? There's always another game. What else are you looking for? Like, I'm just asking that to fans, and I've seen what I need to see
with this particular team.
Right, but that's the reality.
Well,
now you could take a weapon away, and they did Monday night in this one game.
They didn't, because they had a weapon. Jordan Mason was a weapon that game.
But Brock Purdy's a weapon too.
If you say so. I'm not saying he isn't a weapon. What I'm saying is teams get into trouble when they pay quarterbacks who aren't elite quarterback money. You're listening to 95.7 The Game, KGMZ FM and HD1 San Francisco. Always live on the free Odyssey app, Twitch and YouTube, powered by First NorCal Credit Union. No, I'm not. Again,
it's crazy.
I'm not saying like Kyler Murray.
I still believe in him. And he's gotten back. Steiny, I'm sorry. I still believe. I'm not there with.
I want to go back to the Cowboys though, because this is what we heard with Purdy. When I talked about Purdy before, and I said, well, you got to make sure he's the right quarterback, and you got to make sure he's the guy. Okay, so
what else do you?
Well, my point is that if you don't, like, Purdy is going to get paid. And when I say something like, well, let's see how this year goes, maybe if he doesn't play well, Kyle will reset. And people are like, well, then who would your quarterback be? You got Brock Purdy.
Right.
Why are the Cowboys different? They've got a good quarterback, Dak Prescott. You really, like if I would have said, Steiny, I don't want to give him that money. Okay, well, what are you going to do next year? Like, it's the same question applies to the Cowboys.
And again, I go to relationships. If you're in a bad relationship or marriage, don't stay in it because
Who's
you're afraid of what's next.
Year? Oh, come on, Goo.
Hey, Steiny, so that's what it's about. And there's no right or wrong. We've seen 8 years of one guy play his worst football in the postseason. So I'm out. I'm not renewing those vows. I'm done. Hey, it's going to hurt. We may win 6 games, but we're going to go next year? Save this money, put it around the team, and go find another quarterback. And it might be, I'm not going to pay for something that I know is not going to be the reason we don't get over the top. Brock Purdy has shown me when it's go time, he can meet it and handle it. So if he loses a weapon or two, and let's just say you don't win a Super Bowl, you can always double back and say, you know what? Your intel, that was right intel. This guy played okay in the Super Bowl, well enough for you to win. He took you to the NFC Championship game. So I believe in that.
Do you believe the 49ers have a better roster than the Cowboys in part because Prescott's got a big contract and Brock doesn't?
Well, I put Dallas's roster up against, that's what's so maddening, up against the Niners.
Well, first of all, you can't say the Niners have the best roster in football and then say, well, the Cowboys is just as good. Do you think the Cowboys is just as good?
It's right. It's not as good, but it's right behind it, and it has been as good.
Okay.
When they came in here and should have won a playoff game 2 years ago, and Dak just wet his pants. But I think I hope I'm not omitting, or people are out there thinking I don't care about the regular season. We're talking about a guy in Brock Purdy that's starting his 3rd year. Dak has been at this almost a decade. He didn't deserve that money when he has been the sole reason.
Who was going to quarterback next year?
Cooper Rusher
or Trey Lance? Okay. So
you got to pull the Band-Aid off and know what you're really doing. Okay. Fertilize that money into other aspects of the team and try to find a quarterback.
Okay, when you say try to find a quarterback, how long did it take the Niners to find a quarterback?
I got you.
That's what I'm saying. Dak Prescott just got paid, and you think he shouldn't have gotten paid. But, the Cowboys, they made the playoffs 3 straight years or something like that?
36 wins in the regular season the last 3 years.
So Dak Prescott has won them 12 games, 12 games, and 12 games.
And 2-5 in the playoffs. Okay. And had some of his worst performances in those games.
So you're not paying him because of the playoffs?
No doubt. I've seen enough. Okay. That's just me.
Okay. But again, I get that you've seen enough, but are you, think about this for a minute. Are you prepared to go from 12 wins, 12 wins, 12 wins to 6 wins, 6 wins, 6 wins?
Right. And that's a beautiful question.
I don't think you would.
I'm there, but I get what it's about. It's about the playoff games. It's about being on the Monday night, the big stages. So that's why Jerry did it. But why do you think it took so long? This is his 2nd contract.
Right.
So that's why in Jordan Love, I would bet he's got the goods. I love, but it's 1 year. And up until Dak's contract, he was there. Brock Purdy is blowing past all the metrics.
Individually he is. His individual accolades.
I guess, partner, I want to hug you too. What's it about at the end of the day? Are we going to really nitpick and say, we know Brock is no bus driver? To the biggest Brock hater. The bottom line is he meets the moment.
Oh, well, he's met the moment so far. But again, if you want to go that route, well, he didn't meet the moment in the Super Bowl.
And what if I said they didn't meet the moment?
They didn't. So why don't you say they? The Cowboys didn't meet the moment.
Threw 2 interceptions in a game that could have got him to the NFC Championship where it was right there. Then he looked lost 27-0 at home against the 7th seed in the playoff. What more do we need to see, Steiny?
Well, I guess what you need to see are 3 6-win seasons in a row. I mean, honestly, that's kind of what I'm asking. The Cowboys have a quarterback that they've paid big money to, and they've won 12 games in each of the last 3 seasons, and they've
haven't
probably
been to an
gone to
NFC Championship game, haven't sniffed it. And sometimes,
okay, so he's got to get to a championship game.
It's what's your agenda, Steiny? Do you want to stay relevant and not win? Then you pay Dak.
Well,
or do you want to try to get a championship?
They do win. The Cowboys win.
Yeah, but not in the postseason. That's why they were lost with number 2 seed and lost.
Okay. All Prescott.
A majority.
All Prescott.
27-0 at halftime to the lowest seed in the playoffs. You got to take some blame.
Of course you got to take some blame, but I believe that it's easy to say we're not paying Dak Prescott
and start over
yes, because there's no guarantee when you start over. Yeah. Chucky's in Oakland.
Chucky,
what's going on, Chucky? How you doing, man?
Hey, top of the morning, gentlemen, man. You guys, I listen to you guys all the time, man. I appreciate you. First of all, let me let the record reflect. I am a true Raider fan, silver and black.
Okay.
And so I haven't been calling, man, because you guys been talking about the 49ers, man. So I ain't been getting in on the conversation. But, like Popeye, man, one of my favorite cartoons, man. That's all I can stand. I can't stand no more. All this narrative about Brock Purdy. I mean, the morning roast had me burning up this morning when I was driving. They talking about how in the world can Shasky even think about putting Brock Purdy in the same sentence as Steph Curry. Steph Curry is a 4-time NBA world champion, just came off of getting a gold medal in the Olympics and going to use Curry as a comp for Brock Purdy. The man just been playing for 3 years. And you guys can say, okay, he went to the conference championship, he been to the Super Bowl. Hey, Steiny, you was bragging how you can catch the ball with one hand like Odell Beckham. Look, Shanahan could have took you to the Super Bowl. And Brock Purdy, it wasn't nothing about Brock Purdy. And then you guys talking about Sasky talking about high IQ. How can he haven't showed me nothing that he got a high IQ. Hey, the man don't come to the line like Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, Mahomes figuring out defenses, man. He got a system. You guys know he on the Shanahan system. So it got to be a reason why no NFL team drafted Brock Purdy. Some guy was on the morning roast talking about how he was familiar with Brock Purdy when he played in college. When he was playing at Iowa, he know that Brock Purdy is all good. And I'm thinking to myself when I'm hearing that interview, well, why you think he all good, but the scouts passed him up? Nobody drafted him.
No, I get it, Chucky. Nobody drafted him,
and
but
I love
pretty good
Chucky,
now.
But what I turned around hating on Brock. Right now, you got to give him the dub. And is Steph Curry a better basketball player because of Steve Kerr? I think the offense is better, right? Like I don't know how you wouldn't feel comfortable paying Brock Purdy at this moment. That's all. And if we
I don't
like it's a mess of the guys that don't deserve it that are getting chicken. Starting with Daniel Jones.
Well, a 5-1-0, and I'm kind of with this guy. He says you're tripping. I don't mean it that hard.
Yeah.
And Dak is good enough for that contract. You don't have another option for the Cowboys.
And
that's where the Niners are, too, right now.
Yeah. And I wish I was a byproduct of any facet of my life to where I got broken off because they couldn't find better. Maybe my wife would say something different, but you know what I mean? Like, how? That's an insult.
But there's only 10 quarterbacks in football better than Dak Prescott, probably.